Hello, good day, guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel, the TechRokc. This is my first YouTube video in which I'll be explaining to us and introducing the basics of technical drawing. So, in this video, we'll learn all about the basics of technical drawing. We'll learn from the papers to the pencils, as well as the instruments and other key concepts in technical drawing. Be sure to subscribe so you do not miss out on my latest videos and tutorials. Let's get into it. What is technical drawing? Technical drawing is the language of engineers, architects, and designers. It involves the creation of precise, scaled diagrams that communicate ideas, designs, and specifications. This mainly means that technical drawing is the way engineers and architects use to convey their messages or their ideas and to communicate them to other respective areas for better and effective communication. So we'll start with the basics, which is paper and paper sizes. So before you start drawing or before you start learning technical drawing, you have to know what and which paper you are using and what the paper is for. So we'll start from the first type of paper, which is common, which is the A5 paper. The A5 paper is used, it has a measurement of about 210 by 148 millimeters. It's used for booklets and leaflets. So that's the main use of the A5 paper generally. The next is the A4 paper. The A4 paper is the most commonly used paper in printing. It's well known. It has a measurement of 297 by 210 millimeters. It's used for letters and documents as well as reports, and we'll be using it subsequently in our drawings as well. Next is the A3 paper. The A3 paper has a standard measurement of 420 by 297 millimeters. It's used for drawings as well as diagrams and charts. So it's used to express charts and it's also very useful in our technical drawing. Move on to the bigger size. The bigger size is the A2 paper. The A2 paper has a measurement of 594 by 420 millimeters. It's used for artwork, mainly used for artwork. But the standard paper for WAEC, as we know, is the A2 paper. It's also used for posters and drawings. The A1 paper. The A1 paper is the largest paper, one of the largest paper we have. It has a measurement of 841 by 594 millimeters. It's used for posters, signage, and presentations. Now, the biggest type of paper is the A0 paper. Some call it A0, some call it A0 paper. It has a measurement of 1189 by 841 millimeters. It's used for posters, banners, and signage. So those are basic papers that we use in technical drawing. Moving on. We have pencils. What are pencils? Our pencils are marking out tools in technical drawing. They are used to mark papers from different sizes and used to illustrate different shapes. So we have basically four types of pencils in technical drawing. Basically, we have the HB pencil. This is the most general pencil as it is at the middle, at the center point of all pencils. It is mainly used for outlining and for sketching. Moving on, we have the H graded pencils. These are the pencils that range from H1, some call it H1, some call it H, to 6H. So as you move up, like from H, you move to H2, 2H, sorry, you move to 3H, 4H, 5H, up to 6H. The pencil it gets lighter. So the higher you go, the lighter the pencil is. Because of it possesses hard lead, which is great for cleaning and creating. It's mainly used in construction lines as well as other drawing endeavors. Moving on, we have the B graded pencil. They are pencils that range from B to 6B. So they move from B, 2B, 3B, and higher up until 6B. Now, these type of pencils, the higher you go, the darker they become, the darker and bolder they get. They are mainly used for outlining and shading. They are used for shading in artwork, but mainly in technical drawing, they are used for outlining. Then we have the mechanical pencil. Mechanical pencil is a pen-like pencil. It looks like a pen. It has uniform line width. It has consistent line width, and it does not need sharpening. So these are the basic types of drawing pencils we have. Now let's move on to technical drawing instruments. So what are technical drawing instruments? They are the tools in which we use in technical drawing to present our ideas on the paper. Apart from the pencil and other instruments like erasers. These instruments are one, protractor. The protractor is an instrument used for measuring and transferring angle. The protractor can measure angles up to 180 degrees. It ranges from 0 degrees to 180 degrees. So it can be used to mark out angles between 0 degrees and 180 degrees. Next, we have the compass. The compass is an instrument. It consists of a sharp side, then another side in which you can use to hold in your pencil. So the use of this instrument is to perfectly draw circles, arcs, and for constructing other shapes. Moving on, we have drafting ruler. This is an instrument. It can also be called the measuring ruler or the engineering ruler. It's an instrument used for drawing and ensuring straightness of lines in our drawings, as well as measurements. As well as taking measurements, it can be used for taking measurements. Then we have the French curve. The French curve is an instrument used to produce smooth, flowing curves. There are different types of French curves. They are used to produce flowing curves that can be achieved with straight edges. Then we have the set square. The set square is a triangular shaped instrument used in making perpendicular lines as well as drawing angles. It's an instrument used in making perpendicular lines as well as angles. Now the standard set square angles are 45 degrees, 30 degrees, and 60 degrees. So when you have your set square, your pair of set square, they are normally two in number. So you have one which is shorter and one which is longer. The longer one is your 60 30-degree set square, while the shorter one is your 45-degree set square. There are also adjustable set squares which have been produced over time, which can be used to attain different degrees like 50 degree, 20 degrees, and other degrees. But the main and standard we have are the 45 degrees, 30 degrees, and 60 degrees set square. Moving on, I'd like to talk on the types of lines we have in technical drawing. There are 5 main types of lines we have in technical drawing. We have the object lines. It can also be described as normal lines in different textbooks or different manuals. They are thick, solid lines that define the visible edge of an object. Mainly, they are the outlines of an object. Next, we have the hidden lines. The hidden lines are dashed lines that represent edges that are hidden to view or from view. They represent edges that are hidden from view. So they are dashed. They just have short, they consist of short dashes in which is used to represent edges or parts that are hidden from view. Next, we have dimension lines. Dimension lines are lines that are used to carve out dimensions for our drawings. They are used to represent dimensions on our drawings, rather. It consists of thin, solid lines with arrowheads that show the size of an object. Next, we have the center line. The center line are lines used to represent the center axis of an object. So when we have something like a circle, center lines are made to pass through them to indicate the center of that object. It can be circle, it can be other shapes. Mainly circle. Next, we have the cutting plane lines. Cutting plane lines are lines used to indicate position and orientation of a cutting plane or a sectioning plane. They are lines used to indicate where an object has been cut, or it is to be cut, or to be sectioned for in the future. Now we have sketching techniques. There are different types of sketching techniques, but I only mentioned 3 here. The first one is the freehand sketch. It can be called the freehand sketch. It can also be called the loose sketch. They are quick, loose sketches to capture ideas and explore concepts. This mainly means that they are free sketches. They don't have rules. They are just to represent a scene or an imaged object in the person's mind. Probably in the person's mind, probably what someone has seen, but it's just to represent it. It's not to scale. That is freehand sketch. Moving on, we have detailed sketching. Detailed sketching are sketches that have refined and precise lines to develop the drawing further. So they possess detailed, precise lines to show the exact measurements or probably the scaled measurements of an object. In contrast to freehand, which is loose and might not be representing the object to any scale. Then we have construction lines. Construction lines are guiding lines that help establish the basic structure and proportion of a drawing. Due to time, I have not been able to mention other types of sketching techniques, but in subsequent videos, we might be able to touch them one after the other. On to dimensioning. So dimensioning is the act of putting relative sizes to our drawings in order to make them measurable and upscalable to the interpreters of that drawing. We have different types of dimensioning generally. We have the linear dimensioning, angular dimensioning, and annotations. So I'd like to explain them one after the other. So linear dimensioning is the act of indicating the size or length of an object using numerical values. Examples we have 10 centimeters, 20 millimeters, 15 meters, and so on. Next, we have the angular dimensions. Angular dimensions is the act of specifying angles between two intersecting lines or surfaces. So, what are angles? Angles are formed when two, two lines intersect or two surfaces intersect. So, when they intersect, we get what is called an angle. So, the measurement of that angle, the measurement of that space between those two intersecting lines or surfaces is what we call angular dimension. So an example of angular dimension is when we have something like 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 50 degrees, and so on. Then the third type of dimension or annotation is annotations. So what an annotation is a label or a form of label generally or notes in order to provide additional information about a drawing. Example of annotation can be title of your drawing. Probably when you draw an isometric block, you can name it isometric block, so and so. So that's an example of annotation. So I have some takeaways, some key takeaways for us. One, mastery of fundamentals. So understanding the basics of technical drawing is crucial for every aspiring designer or engineer or technical drawer. Generally, you have to know the fundamentals. All these fundamentals must be kept and must be known to everyone aspiring to become a designer or engineer. Two, versatility of techniques. This means sketching, dimensioning, and using specialized instruments all have their place in technical drawing. Three, ongoing practice. One thing I always mention is that in technical drawing, generally, practice makes perfect, as the saying goes. So you have to continuously keep on practicing and practicing and drawing so as to learn and master all these key takeaways. So for recap, in the beginning, we started with definition of technical drawing. We explained what technical drawing means. We discussed the types of papers, generally ranging from, we started from A5, which is the smallest, to A0, which is the biggest. And we gave their specific measurements and uses. We moved on to types of pencils we have. Generally, I mentioned four types. So we have the HB pencil, the H graded pencil, which are light as they move higher, the B graded pencils, which get darker as they move higher, and the mechanical pencils, which have uniform length. So I mentioned that. Then I moved on to telling us the set of instruments we use in technical drawing. The set of instruments I mentioned French curves, compasses, protractors, and I gave those their uses. I also mentioned um, other instruments as well. So I moved on to explain the types of sketchings we have. We have the freehand and the other types of sketching I mentioned. So as to key them down, I'm trying to reiterate this. So if you did not grasp them before, you can grasp them now. Moving on, lastly, I discussed dimensioning and annotations. I told us the types of dimensioning we have, as well as the annotations to back them up. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. The TechRokc is always here for you. Anything about technology, feel free to ask in the comment section. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.